In this video, I'm going to walk you through why Trump's new spending spree could trigger a debt crisis, how it might send Canadians' borrowing costs soaring, the hidden ripple effect on immigration, trade, and even your groceries. And at the end, I'll share the one question every Canadian needs to be asking right now. Let's break this down. What exactly did Trump just pass?
It's the big, beautiful bill.
One big, beautiful bill.
One big, beautiful bill.
What if I told you one bill passed in Washington could raise your mortgage payments, hike your grocery bills, and make your job less secure? And it's not even a Canadian law. This is how powerful America has become over our lives. And now, they detonated a $3.3 trillion bomb. Let me show you how it could explode here in Canada. If you are Canadian, this matters more than you think. Because whether you are a homeowner in Toronto, a retiree in Saskatoon, or a young person dreaming of starting a family, this bill could impact everything from interest rates to housing prices. This is not just American politics. This is your real life. Let's start with the basics. On July 3rd, 2025, the US Congress passed what Trump calls his One Big Beautiful Bill.
Congress passed the one big, beautiful bill to make America great again. Right?
The bill is passed.
The bill as amended is passed.
Here is what's inside. Massive tax cuts, extends the 2017 Trump-era tax breaks indefinitely, adds new deductions for service workers, seniors, and small businesses, huge social program cuts, $1.1 trillion in Medicaid cuts over a decade, major reduction in food stamps and housing assistance, record military and border spending, over $150 billion for defense, border walls, and ICE operations, extra funding for surveillance technology at the northern border.
This bill includes the largest tax cut in American history, the largest spending cut in American history, the largest border security investment in American history.
Total price tag, $3.3 trillion in new debt over 10 years. That's more debt than Canada's entire economy produces in a year. Imagine spending the GDP of Canada and borrowing it all. That's what just happened. And if you think that's only an American problem, just wait until you see how this debt tsunami crosses the border. Why Canada cannot escape America's debt? You might be thinking, why do we care if America borrows trillions? That's their mess. But here is the thing. Canada's economy is tied to the US like a lifeline. Trade. 75% of our exports go to the US. Every time the US economy sneezes, Canada catches pneumonia. Currency. The Canadian dollar trades in lockstep with the US dollar. Big US deficits weaken their currency, raising import prices here. Interest rates. When the US borrows trillions, they flood bond markets with debt. Investors demand higher return. Canada has to raise our interest rates to stay competitive. In other words, when the US overspends, your mortgage gets more expensive. Before we go any further, please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Subscribing to this channel is not gonna cost you anything, but it's gonna help me big time. Thank you. Now back to our topic. Quick reality check. Your $500,000 mortgage at 4% costs about $2,600 a month. If rates go up to 6%, that jumps to over $3,200 a month. That's $600 a month. $7,200 a year. Gone. And you had zero say in any of it. The inflation wildfire. Here is where things get scary. Economists are already warning that this bill could ignite US inflation, forcing the Federal Reserve to raise rates, weaken the US dollar, making Canadian imports cost more, drive energy prices higher, Because of higher military spending and instability, if you think inflation was bad in 2022 or 2023, this could make that look tame. For example, milk in Ontario averaged at 5.89 a gallon last year. If the loonie drops 10%, that could climb past $6.50 or even $7. Used car prices soared 30% during the pandemic. Tariff threats and a weak currency could push them up another 20%. And if you have savings, higher inflation eats your money while you sleep. But it's not just about prices. It's about something deeper. How much control do Canadians really have over our future? When one man in Washington can push a button and make us poorer overnight, the border wall you did not see coming. You might think the immigration parts of this bill only target Mexico, but look closer. There is $12 billion earmarked for northern border enforcement. Here is what it includes: 500 new CBP agents along the Canada-US border, 300 miles of new surveillance drones and ground sensors, a pilot program to pre-screen Canadian trucks and travelers for security threats. Trump calls this closing the northern back door. Critics call it unprecedented surveillance of Canadians, a threat to cross-border trade, a pretext to clamp down on asylum seekers who flee U.S. crackdowns. Imagine you are a truck driver hauling produce to Vermont, or a family visiting. How will you feel knowing a U.S. drone is tracking your every move? And remember, once these systems are built, they rarely go away. Even after Trump leaves office, the debt bombs long shadow. Let's look 2, 5, 10 years down the road. If the US federal debt surges past $40 trillion, here is what economists fear. US Treasury yields climb, forcing Canada to match them. Canadian provincial deficits grow as borrowing costs rise. Small businesses struggle with higher loan payments. Housing markets cool or even crash under rate pressure. In other words, Trump's spending is not just about today's headlines. It could reshape Canada's economy for the next decade. And here is what almost nobody in Ottawa is admitting. There is no easy way to decouple. Our economies are fused. Our financial systems are fused. And our political decisions are fused. The big question. So, here is the million-dollar question. If Canada can't escape America's debt, what should we do? Do we just accept that our financial future is hostage to Washington? Or do we start building more diversified trade so we are not stuck selling 75% of our exports to the US? More self-sufficient industries so a currency shock does not gut our supply chain. More transparent politics so we can at least have an honest conversation about this dependency. Because whether you love Trump or hate him, one fact remains. His decisions have the power to reshape your life, and you deserve to know about it. So, here is my challenge to you. If you care about your mortgage, if you care about your grocery bills, if you care about Canada's future, do not look away. Learn, question, push your leaders to plan for the fallout. Because if we don't start building resilience now, we will be stuck paying the bill for someone else's debt. Thank you so much for watching. This is Amber, Unlocking Canada, one story at a time. Hit subscribe if you want more deep dive into how the world's big decisions impact you. And tell me in the comments, what would you do to protect Canada from this debt tsunami? Let's figure this out together. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.